been a ghost. Believe that, and you will believe everything. One moment she was trapped inside a house surrounded by Iranian security forces. Armed men were shouting orders in Persian, rifles aimed at every window and doorway. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Then suddenly, a thunderous roar tore through the sky. A F-22 Raptor fighter jet flew low across the mountains. The sound was deafening. The Iranian soldiers instinctively looked up, just for a second. But a second was all Sara Darvishi ever needed. When their eyes returned to the doorway, she was gone. The last member of the Darvishi family had vanished again. When Sara opened her eyes, she was no longer in Iran. She was sitting in a quiet, dimly lit room somewhere in the Middle East. Across the table were 3 officers from Mossad. They had heard about the destruction of her extraction team. Sara looked exhausted, but her voice remained calm. "The family that helped me escape," she said quietly, "sold me to Iranian security forces." "How much?" one of the agents asked. Sara looked down at the table. $1,000. The room fell silent. To some people, $1,000 was a fortune. To Sara Darvishi, it was simply the price of betrayal. Across the table sat Ariel Cohen, a veteran Mossad intelligence officer. He studied her face carefully. "Do you want the man eliminated?" Ariel asked. Sara shook her head slowly. "No." She leaned back in her chair. "I think they were just trying to survive." Another Mossad officer slid a thick black folder across the table. Sara opened it. Inside were classified intelligence documents, financial records, encrypted messages, and surveillance photographs. She flipped through the pages until one line caught her attention. Her expression changed. "This file," she said slowly. "It comes from the archives of Edward Snowden." Across from her, Amir Navan nodded. "Yes," he said, "but what you're reading now isn't just Snowden's material." Sara turned another page. Amir pointed to a highlighted paragraph. That section came from files connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Sara looked up sharply. "And with this? Epstein killed himself?" she asked. Amir sighed. "Snowden exposed surveillance programs," he said. But deep down, he was pointing towards something far more dangerous. He tapped the file. Blackmail. Compromise. Power. Names appeared across the pages. Some of the most powerful people in the world. Political leaders, billionaires, influential businessmen. Among them were references to Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Sara pushed the file slightly away. "I don't want anything to do with Snowden's files," she said quietly. The door opened again. Ariel Cohen stepped back into the room holding another document. "You're misunderstanding the situation," he said calmly. Snowden believed powerful people were compromised. Epstein arranged meetings, parties, introductions, and someone recorded everything. Sara frowned. "What does that have to do with the war with Iran?" Ariel placed a photograph on the table. The man in the picture was wealthy, elegant, powerful. "His name is Khalid al-Rashid," Ariel said. "He has connections inside Tehran's leadership circle." Sara studied the photograph carefully. "So you want me to get close to him?" Ariel nodded. "We want real-time intelligence about who will become the next supreme leader of Iran." Sara looked up slowly. "You want another assassination?" Ariel did not answer immediately. Instead, he leaned forward and spoke quietly. "If Mujtaba Khamenei becomes leader, the Middle East may face decades of conflict." Sara stared at the photograph of Khalid al-Rashid. Her mind was racing. For 30 years, she had lived as a ghost, hunted, betrayed, used by governments and intelligence agencies. Now they wanted her to start another war. Sara stood up and began pacing the room. "You want me to spy on him?" "Yes," Ariel said. And if necessary, Sara finished the sentence. You want him removed. The room was silent. Finally, Sara stopped walking. She looked again at the photograph. Then she sighed and nodded once. It's simple, Amir continued. In 1979, when everything began, the monarchy was overthrown for this very reason. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Now think about it. He leaned forward slightly. Mujtaba Khamenei is the son of Ali Khamenei. Amir's voice dropped. Do you understand why he cannot become the supreme leader? At that exact moment, a faint buzzing sound appeared outside. Amir frowned. Do you hear that? The sound grew louder. Ariel's eyes widened. Drones. A second later, boom! 2 kamikaze drones slammed into the front of the safe house. The explosion shattered windows and tore through the walls. Smoke and fire filled the room. The Mossad agents grabbed their weapons. Outside, alarms and shouting echoed through the night. Someone had found them. Someone knew Sara Darvishi was alive, and the hunt had started again. Through the smoke, Sara moved quickly toward the exit. Ariel shouted behind her, Sara! She stopped for just 1 second. Ghosts don't die, she said quietly. Then she disappeared into the darkness. Again, because somewhere out there, the secrets inside the Snowden and Epstein files were still alive. And whoever controlled those secrets controlled the world.